Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, kind of have had a little bit of a back and forth week. During the trading session, it hasn't necessarily been the best trading, but we have moved around quite a bit here. First, let's come back over here. Make sure we catch the numbers here. Where are we at? U.S. initial jobless claim. Oh, why is it not updating? Hold on. U.S. continued jobless claims edges up to 1.955 million versus an expected of 1.953. So slightly higher than expected still, and initial jobless claims slightly lower than expected at 217K versus 226K. And we will be getting a UCB press conference here with President Lagarde. I don't know if we'll really watch it. But you can see the Treasuries edging down, right? So we had earlier in the week a pretty good rally, and we are giving up a lot of that now. So I wonder if we come back over here to a daily chart, if that, yeah, we're kind of in a period of mean reversion around the moving averages, right? So S&P 500 pretty good yesterday. We did get some major reports from from Google, I think it was. And Tesla was down. Tesla was down 7%. Oil, gold and silver here taking a beating. Gold really taking a beating. Ouch. Copper new highs. Wow. I thought it was going to be another day or two before new highs. Can you believe that? I mean, that right there is not a bad move for a swing trade. And here we got the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen, again, having moved because of the elections and a trade deal being made. The dollar, actually, like the first session to be up a little bit, but it's like only a teeny tiny little bit. So dollar's still hurting. And Bitcoin's still just developing a range there. It really is like it does nothing and then whoop, and then it does nothing. It's the activity in Bitcoin I continue to find curious. Now, are they moving here off of the numbers, or is it something else? I don't know. Well, we do get PMIs, so there's that. I don't know. I think one of the things that's going on here, though, is that we are anticipating that the U.S. will strike a deal with Europe that includes a 15% tariff rate. So that would be a big help, I think. Obviously, it's still a tariff, so that's not good. But 15% isn't too bad. And the EU is kind of like the last remaining major trading partner to make a deal with the US. So I think that we're seeing a little bit of like risk on kind of action because of that. Another thing to note, I don't know if this is really important or not, but apparently Donald Trump is visiting the Federal Reserve tonight.
Order submitted.
Okay, well, here's the
Order submitted.
Here's the robot deciding to take the trade at the iceberg 23.5. I don't like that trade, to be honest with you. I don't like that trade. I was trading it manually, I probably wouldn't take that one. Which means it's probably going to be an amazing winner, right? I don't know. I think I still kind of have a personal bias towards longs in treasuries right now. I think that interest rates are too high. So that's probably part of it. But then the other thing is like we're below the break-even line, you know, on our cost basis. We're already to like negative 15,000 on this move over. I don't see anything that significant in here. Yeah, it just and there's an iceberg there. So at the very least, we probably like rebalance there. I suppose if I'm gonna put myself on the line here, if I'm gonna talk like that, I won't take a live trade. I don't really believe in it enough for a live trade, but I will put a stop limit order at 24.5. Just in case I kind of forget what's going on and everything, but I kind of think that we could slow down here and then you might start to see an impulse long. And I could see that kind of playing out because I just am not seeing the why should the treasuries be selling that hard. Oh boy, Elon Musk's tweets, we're bringing back Vine, but in AI form. I don't know if that's AI Vine. I don't know if that's
Block sell.
what we want. Wow, that was a big order there. Oh, interesting. So I'm hearing a headline on the News Squawk that United Healthcare is responding to legal claims and that is weighing on the S&P 500 because United Healthcare is a relatively large company now. But why would we're getting the E-mini and the treasuries selling pretty hard at the same time? That seems a little unusual to me. The robot, by the way, he took his trade at 23.5, so he is up 2 ticks so far. But like we were saying yesterday, usually the robot will get 1 or 2 ticks. In fact, I think maybe I should change it to, you know, I bet you that if I changed the robot to take profit at 1 tick and gave it a really wide stop, like let's say give it 4 ticks stop. Of course, if your risk reward ratio is that skewed, you're going to have a high win rate. Actually, let's say the profit is 2 ticks and the stop is 4 ticks. Okay, so under that condition, a profit factor, or sorry, an R factor of 0.5, you would expect to win about 67% of the time. But I bet you that the robot would win 80% of the time. Are you still using Jigsaw or is that Sierra Charts? No, I'm using Jigsaw. I do have Sierra Charts. Do I have it open right now? I don't have Sierra Charts open. But I've been doing some development in Sierra Charts, so we converted over the inventory cost basis to Sierra Charts. Let me know that you can send me your Sierra Charts username on Discord if you would like the beta test. I haven't heard much from Octavius about it, which I assume means that it works well. So. I suppose that the treasuries could be moving down here because of the ECB, huh? Was there something about what the ECB said here that was actually more bearish than I realize? Let's see here. Nick Timmeros, initial claims for jobless benefits fell last week and are running below their year earlier level. Continuing claims continue to point to slightly less tight labor market compared to a year ago. Nah. This really bothers me, the readings that people are getting about the labor market. Because here's the problem. Oh, you've been forward testing. Okay, good. Good deal, Octavius. Tech workers are only like 4 or 5% of the economy. But the tech sector is absolutely in a recession right now in the United States. They fired a lot. They did a lot of layoffs. And while the companies are still doing well, they are expanding overseas and they're not expanding here in the US. So the United States is losing like the one sector of the economy that was doing well. That was like not doing well, but like that the workers were really making money in. Right? It was like the one place workers were really making money. If we continue to allow tech to go down this path, I think that the US, that this really turns into like a true full-fledged new Gilded Age. Like some people say that we're already in a new Gilded Age, but in the Gilded Age, it really was like most people were like poor, like poor. It is now quickly turning into, like you can't, if you're not in tech, you cannot afford a house in a large city, for instance. It's just crazy right now. And so I think that that's a big problem, but that everybody looks at the headline employment rate, because we're only talking about 5% of workers, right? And of course, I probably only care because I am a tech worker, right? But everybody looks at the headline employment rate and they're like, everything's fine. But I don't think that it is. It's just like, so one of the things that I think back on that we've kind of forgot about is during the period of low interest rates, we were getting this thing where it was like, well, okay, we've had interest rates low for a very long time, but we're still getting deflation. What's going on? And the problem was that even though we were printing a lot of money and giving banks a lot of money, these guys were basically blowing it all on stupid startup ideas that didn't really go anywhere. And average people were not really reaping the benefits of any of it. So it actually kind of seems to me now in retrospect that we didn't need to hold interest rates as low for as long as we did. You have the ES compressed by Vortex CS, so that I'm viewing it by points. I find it's much easier to read what's going on over there when you do it that way. I honestly don't pay too much attention to the S&P 500 these days, though. How much is a robot up now? 3 ticks? I'm kind of thinking about moving. I think I will move it down 1. We made another tick, but then it really did go flat. So I'm still interested in if this flips. I'll be right back. I'm going to get some more water. I don't really watch ES, but you have ES on your charts. Is it just there for show? Well, so the S&P 500 having the DOM up there, it is an important instrument. It does matter sometimes. We do see correlation flows come into the treasuries from the S&P 500. So we do want to watch it. It's kind of more of a, like, I should pay more attention to it than I do sort of a thing, you know? And I do have, like, over here on these charts, there's this one over here, right? Like, maybe you're seeing that I have tabs for it, but those tabs are actually just there to collect data for me for backtesting purposes. So, you know, most people, they're trading ES, so of course I want to have the data so that I can see what we can grab from it. But, you know, like, I have an ES over here. And it's kind of like, oh, wow, the S&P 500 is, like, really falling here, and I won't notice, you know. Matt asks, did you take John Grady's No BS day trading course? I trade ES, and I'm interested in learning his style of trading and using the DOM ladder and moving to the treasuries. Okay, so I would absolutely 100% recommend taking his basic course. It's like $70, $90, something like that. Totally worth it. It's just a book and a couple of videos. The information that is in there, you could probably grab from me just from watching this channel. Like, you know, having all three of the treasuries lined up there and a couple of the jigsaw settings that you want to set and things like that. That's a lot of it. Okay. But then there's his book where he kind of goes through a couple of different setups, things that you will see. I wouldn't necessarily consider these signals predictive, but they are situations, odd or unique situations that you will see on the DOM that, you know, he kind of paints a picture of, like, what's going on in a way that I really don't think anybody else can. So I really, really like the book, and I think it is 100% worth the $70 to $90. Okay. Now, you know, I took that book and I tried trading off of those signals for a really long time, and I did not have success with that. My conclusion has been, well, I went and I read, you know, more empirical sources of information. So like Trades, Quotes, and Prices, Financial Markets Under a Microscope. That's kind of more of a college level, like a graduate level book about the empirically proven information about order flow. So I think that I base my trading more off of that. I just think that the John Grady course is a good place to start, you know? But, you know, I use that empirical information, and then I'm looking for news. I'm looking for things I might know that the rest of the market doesn't know. You know, here in this situation, I have that stop order up there. I feel I'm taking that primarily for technical reasons. It's not a live trade. One, because, well, we're already, like, well below my break-even zones. Like, it should be pretty difficult for them to continue pushing. And we have an ECB press conference. That usually doesn't result in the best trading for us, right? But I've still got that stop. And just in case, you know, like, we do get something flooding back up, I think that it could come back up to that open, right? But I don't have something that I think effectively predicts the future orders on, you know, like, from an informational basis. So no live trade for me. And I kind of base my trading more on that. And I think with that, what kind of happens is you understand the DOM, you understand, like, what's in John Grady's book, and then you will find situations where, you know, based on the context and everything, you just kind of know, like, this is likely to happen, and then you'll see it, and you're like, oh, yep, okay, this is a good place for me to get in. Now, there's the other thing, which is, like, his webinar, and there is, like, a video, like, somebody recorded it and is passing it around, and I watched some of that once to see what they were talking about. But, you know, I kind of feel like that That's more for somebody that's like, you've been trading for maybe a year, watching the order flow, and you feel like you still don't get it, and you really have the $6,000 or whatever it is to pay for the webinar, then go for it. But it's not something that I would do starting out, unless you have a ton of money, like a ton of money to waste. This ultimately is the big conundrum, is that the person that is really equipped really has the opportunity and the resources to day trade futures does not have the money to day trade futures. And the person that has the money to day trade futures is probably too busy to spend the amount of time required to do it. I don't know though, with stocks, I kind of feel like that everybody can mess around with stocks at one point in their life. You know what we need to do? We need to look at stock screeners. We need to look at the best stock screener to kind of point out some stocks that we want to look at that day. Oh man, are we gonna? No, it was a major tick down and some big sell orders. But it was not a new low, not yet. Let's recenter there, though. Do you know if the newest update on Jigsaw is good or is still being beta tested? Is there a new one today? I'm pretty sure that the most recent release is still in beta, and I have not updated. Yeah, don't see anything for today. Last time I tried it, there was a couple of little quirks that had me like, we'll wait. But I haven't tried the more recent versions. I think part of it was because it looks a little bit different, and I didn't like that. But when it comes out, when the full version comes out, then we're just going to have to deal with whatever it is, right? Fabius says stuck on the hole. Well, yeah, there's definitely a hole at 22.5, isn't there? I mean, a lot of volume is traded there. But it kind of seems like the market maybe wants to push because of things that are being said at the ECB press conference, maybe? Like, I don't know. I don't know if this stop order, like, I'll leave it there. But I feel like the chances of that getting hit are really low now. So I just loaded up Reddit to poke around there a little bit. And man, this website has become so useless. Ever since the Epstein thing, it is just rage about Trump and Epstein all the time, and nobody says anything useful or insightful anymore. So there was a headline overnight from, who was it? Oh, did they? Oh, I didn't know that. I thought so. I was just looking at some messages I had missed in Discord, and I think that this one is not a user. So what was I looking for? Wall Street Journal. Okay. So Wall Street Journal was the one, by the way, before that kind of they published like the letter or something like that, right? Okay. So Wall Street Journal, another story, just saying that Donald Trump's name did appear in the investigative files. And that headline is like such a non-headline. We've always known that Donald Trump's name comes up in the files in some form because they were friends for a while and had some sort of a falling out, right? And that Donald Trump was like helped the investigation in some way. Okay. So that is a non-story, but like they're just going gaga over it. They're just going crazy over it. You know what I want to learn more about is the White House unveiled an AI action plan. Some of the parts of it are kind of like, well, so for instance, they said like you need to be ideologically neutral and not be woke for the AIs. But they were also saying that large tech companies need to invest more in the US and not be hiring so much in India, essentially. And there was an executive order about that. And I'm kind of like, okay, but what exactly is in the executive order that's going to force them to do anything? Well, why don't I see any discussion? Like, that would be an actually, like, a useful discussion, right? I assume treasuries don't move much during global. Well, no, I wouldn't say that. You know, in the morning session, like they definitely move. There's definitely decent sized moves during the overnight session, and it's often the case I have found where it's like, you know, if I have like a wider opinion, I think the treasuries are going to go in a certain way because of a decision or something like that. And, you know, I go and I take a trade during our session. It doesn't go anywhere. And then I close it. And then after the, you know, during the night session again, it'll move. That happens all the time. Basically, like all the liquidity comes in during this time. And that kind of results in it actually not moving as much. What do you got here, Octavius? This link. That was an Asman Gold clip. Oh, okay. I am still of the opinion. So what I just watched, what Octavius was showing me, and I guess the other thing that people are freaking out about is they're showing some video from deposition, basically, you know, saying, okay, did you socialize with Donald Trump? And he says yes. And then he asks if he's done it in the presence of 18-year-old people, girls under the age of 18, and he takes the sixth, which I don't know if necessarily means anything. Like, I don't know. Probably a lawyer would recommend you to take the sixth in that instance. But that, even if he said yes to that question, right? That would not necessarily change anything, I don't think. I think it's probably pretty likely that him and Epstein did socialize together when he had girls under the age of 18 there. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Donald Trump had intercourse with them, right? Uzi's like, I'm really curious how people are just now seeing this. Uzi, where have you been all week? I've been like, is Uzi okay? But it's the same thing for me. It's kind of like, okay, like, yeah, he knew him. You're just now realizing this. Okay. It is old stuff. Is this video old? I've never seen this video. So I don't know if it's old or not, but are you on the list? Like okay, so here's the thing, cuz I think some people would accuse people of like goalpost moving. Right? Here's where I think the goalpost is. Is there something in the Epstein files that should lead the FBI to refer somebody for prosecution? This is what it really comes down to. Is there information in there that they should refer to for prosecution? And my position is I don't think that there is. I think that if there was really something in there that they could use for prosecution, that they would have done it. Things were different in those days. The drinking age was 18. Yeah, well, but I kind of think that they probably had parties when there was like 14-year-olds, my guess. Can you give me your order flow template? Like for what? For Jigsaw? I don't know if that would really be helpful to you. So I have a video on the channel somewhere where I basically walk through my workspace and I show you like the key settings. But the only thing that I really change on my Jigsaw DOM, if I come into the settings here, turn on momentum tells, that's pretty cool. I don't like the bid and ask profile columns. And then over here in trading, close outstanding orders when position is closed. That's really good. And reduce smart Q font. That's really good. That's like basically all you need. That's basically all you need. Do you just use DOM only? Well, I don't really rely too much on my charts, but I would say that the edge comes more from informational inefficiencies, what I know from reading the news and listening to my news squawk and knowing about the market in general. And the DOM is a supplement, helps me place my orders, confirm that, you know, the market is really doing what I think it is, etc., etc. I say that because I think that most retail traders have this idea that they will come in and become a successful day trader without knowing anything about the market whatsoever, that they're just going to look at market data, what other people are doing, and make all of their decisions based off of that. And they will go and try and do that with quote unquote price action and find that it doesn't work. And so then they think, oh, well, maybe I can do it with order flow. And if you try and do that with order flow, it's still not going to work. Order flow is useful because you have to study all of the orders to really understand what's going on. Okay. So like just in this current instance, what's going on right now? We traded a lot at 22.5. We have now moved a little bit further now. Which, by the way, I was kind of, remember when I said earlier, I was like, well, I don't like this trade. Probably means that it's going to be a really good one. It hasn't hit the target. It hasn't hit the like auto take profit target, but it's getting there. Well, come and look at the cumulative delta over here, right? Once we have all of the orders and we can determine whether a market order was a market buy or a market sell, we can kind of see that they sold a ton. The imbalance kind of evened out for a brief little bit, and they are already doing a second leg. So somebody, because of the ECB, I guess, really, really wants to sell treasuries. And they're selling them hard. And it's been another 10,000 contracts down. 10,000 contracts net difference, rather. You can only do that with order flow. Because it might have been the case that we moved lower, even though there wasn't a whole lot of volume. And then maybe it was like really more correlation with another asset or something like that, right? This deeper analysis that you can get into with the order flow. So that helps you understand what the market is actually doing. That data in and of itself does not necessarily effectively predict what the future price is going to do. Although there is like really, really short-term signals. You know, like our robot here, once you combine it with like regime changing and things like that, it seems like it's a pretty good signal. But really, if you really want to be effective at day trading, you got to know what's going on. You got to read the news. You got to have a news squawk. You got to see the discussion, see the economic discussion. What things are people like paying attention to the most? What are the big questions in this economy, right? And if you don't want to play that game, if you don't want to understand those things and read about those sorts of things, you're not interested in that, I would very strongly recommend you don't trade, right? So I don't know if that's you or not, but I'm just saying, when you said, do you use DOM only? That's why I bring that up, is because commonly people say that because they want to just only look at the DOM and make all of their decisions based off of that. That's a bad idea. Uzi Knessa asks, what is the list? Like, as someone who's pretty experienced in conspiracy theorizing, everyone jumping on the train suddenly really effing sucks at it. It really is just like, do you ever trade or do you just commentate? Well, I am pretty selective with my trades. That's true. I'm pretty selective with my trades. Listen, if you want to find somebody on YouTube that's like, they think that they're the most awesome trader of all time, and if you just do what they do, you'll have success, and so you can just watch the stream and shadow my trades, wrong stream. Because one, we don't always make money. Sometimes we're really, really understand that market and we're really, really good, and sometimes we're not. The amount of money that you're going to make from doing that is quite limited. But then, more important, I intentionally make it difficult for you to follow my trades. I will be like talking about something else and try to distract you when I actually click in, because I don't want people to try and follow my trades or you know, screw it up. Because if too many people follow it, you know, if I had like 10,000 followers on here and then I announced on it, okay, well, we're going to do this, it would absolutely mess the trade up. And in fact, we have seen some situations where I do think that being on the stream screwed up some trades. Which is why I've kind of learned where that matters and stay away from those situations now. Most of your videos, I didn't see you trade. That's why I asked. Yeah. Well, the other thing, table tennis, is that what his name is? Table tennis? Yeah. Is that for the past year, I have been back and forth with, you know, difficulty with the day job because the tech market is really, really rough right now. And so I have also really significantly pulled back on risk because of that. And it kind of sucks because more recently, we haven't been able to stream as much and that changes things too. So it makes it much harder for me to take trades. So especially if you look in the past year, you're not going to see a whole lot of trades. Like I've kind of turned into like one live trade a month. Lots of sim trades, but well, not lots of sim trades. Maybe like 3 sim trades a week. Most retail traders don't trade. Well, yeah, if you have 10 full contracts, you're balling usually. Have you seen videos of the Axia guys trading using Jigsaw? Yeah. It's been a while. Yeah, it's rough in tech these days. Yeah, I was ranting about it a little bit earlier, but So going back to what Uzi says, the fact that he left is completely ignoring the fact that Epstein saga came from the DNC email leaks and pizza. Wait, I do not understand that reference. It did not come from Pizzagate. How did it come from Pizzagate? I'm pretty sure that like they started prosecuting Epstein completely separate from all that. So it did come after the Pizzagate thing, didn't it? Oh, people didn't look at Epstein as a crowd until Pizzagate. Yeah, I think that that's true. That's true. So to the list thing, though, I think the thing that's funny is like Bondi was like saying, "Oh, I have the files on the desk. There's a list, yada yada yada." She was saying that before she read the documents. I really think that what happened was she thought she had been fed all of the propaganda from the Donald Trump supporters that there was really something there to reveal. And then she went and she read the documents and was kind of like, oh, actually, there's nothing that significant in here. And so then I think that there's another argument here, though, that is like, okay, so if there's nothing in there, then why not release the files? And the reasoning that I've seen for that is that it's mostly about the victims. That basically there's not anything in there about any other, what do we want to call it? Any other abusers. There's not anything in there about any other abusers that they can use to prosecute somebody. But there is a lot of information in there about the people that were testifying against Epstein that if that were to become public, would, you know, be bad. And that's why it was put under seal by the judge. So you really, because he says, yeah, I don't buy that. Well, but really think about it, okay? Who do we know has seen the files? The judge has seen the files. Biden administration has seen the files. Trump administration has seen the files. Alan Dershowitz has seen the files because he was involved in that whole thing. Every single one of those people have said, essentially, that there's not anything in there that could lead to the prosecution of other individuals. And I'm just kind of sitting here like, what more, you know, like, aside from actually, well, okay. What would be necessary to convince people that you shouldn't release the files? I don't think that there's anything you could possibly say at this point. All the while, everyone at the top knows that everything that can be released without A, naming victims, or B, requiring a new criminal case has already been released. Yeah. Like, that's the whole thing. Is the Trump administration requested from the judge to release the files. The files that court had, at least. Okay? And I'm going to bet you that they're going to release those files. And there's not going to be anything really all that interesting in it. And people will still be unhappy. Because I think at this point, the reality is that there's nothing there and it's just being used as a wedge or Trump supporters. So the Democrat Party is using it as a wedge to wedge between Trump supporters, so that you've got ones that are like super diehard, like they think that there's something in there and maybe Donald Trump is a pedophile or something like that, and then the ones that don't care. And they're using that to drive a wedge in the party. That's what it's really about. And as long as it's an effective wedge, which it kind of seems like it has been somewhat, I don't know if it actually has like real political implications like a traditional political wedge would. But until it stops working, it's probably going to like dominate the social media. And that presents a problem for us because it's essentially become more difficult for us to find good information. I find it really frustrating. I think we're in the second leg of the meta order. I agree. Although I think that we may have already kind of reached the extent of its impact. Let's see here. The Obama judge just agreed with that concession and wait, the concession what? That they should release it? But he denied the request, huh? He's already denied it. Oh, I hadn't heard that. Oh, I'm skipping comments. Okay, wait. The simplest stuff, and nobody seems to be able to wrap their brains around it. The Department of Justice also conceded in their own petition to unseal the grand jury documents that the court can't unseal them without a new criminal case to refer to them. And the Obama judge just agreed with that concession and denied the request. Yeah. What you're saying is they don't have any way to turn this into another court case, and ergo they're not going to release the information to protect the victims. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like the way that it's come out, it's kind of like, well, I'm not sure there's really anything that you can do now. Like, people want to know, and they're probably going to find out one way or another what's in there. But I really don't think that there's anything worth actually releasing to the public. I really don't. If those documents come out, and then they're like, oh, actually, this implicates Donald Trump in a crime or something, and then they successfully prosecute Donald Trump and put him in jail for you know, rape, then for rape of an underage person, rather, I will eat my hat. I'm very, very doubtful at this point with the information that we have. Let's see here. Beyond those sealed GJ documents, which are sealed to protect victims and can't be unsealed without a new criminal case, everything else about Epstein has already been released. Yeah. And but you were kind of hinting at something else, though, Uzi. You were kind of saying, well, everybody seems to think that this shows that there is some sort of a global cabal of, you know, Epstein and a bunch of his friends, essentially, like maybe a dozen people, and their whole thing is they want to rape underage girls. And they caught Epstein, and there must be other collaborators, and we're gonna, you know, we should go and find them. Everybody is absolutely convinced that that's what's going on. And I think that what you're saying, Uzi, is that actually it really was just him. And the only reason that anybody ever thought that it was more than just him was because of Pizzagate. Is that what you were trying to say earlier? Because I will admit, Uzi, that's what the right thinks. Now the left is on that train and ignores everything about it except the possibility that Trump might be part of it. Yeah, it is. I must admit that in the early days, I was very much like, it can't just be him. But the more that I see about it, the more that I'm like, well, if there are other people that were involved, it was conducted in a way that they have complete plausible deniability. It's been done in a way that they can't prosecute anybody else. Which makes sense to me, that if you were doing something illegal like that, you would take certain precautions. Just, you know, it's just like the way that the mob runs, you know? It's really, really hard to take the whole mob down. They had to make like new laws to be able to do it. So I think that I have realized that there were some things that were released that I've since realized are like, oh, I think that those were exaggerated, or we were given red herrings, and, you know, it kind of became its own beast, not actually supported by facts. And I think that that's further. So one of the things that they were talking about in Discord is that the FBI or whatever estimated that Epstein had like 1,000 victims. What? 1,000 victims? There's 1,000 victims, and there really 1,000 people coming out and saying that something happened? Like, that's crazy. But I'm kind of thinking maybe they were exaggerating. Or, you know, they were like, well, we estimate. Like, it might have been something like, well, if we look at how many people came on the island that were possibly underage, and you look at the full thing, that could be up to 1,000 different people. And maybe that's where they got that number from, right? Now, the other explanation for what I've seen could be that it was some sort of an intelligence gathering operation. That's the other thing. But it's still, for me, it comes back to, like, there has been so many people that have seen the files or have been involved in this, and they all are pretty much saying there's nothing to see there. How do you explain that? There's only two explanations for that. Three explanations. The first one that I'll offer here is kind of ridiculous, though, but that it would be that everybody that's involved in that case is also in on it, which is ridiculous to say, because you have such a broad group of people from different sides of the political sphere and different places and everything. For them all to be in on it is just absolutely ridiculously unlikely. Okay. Case number two is they're all telling the truth and there's really nothing there. And case number three would be that it was some sort of foreign intelligence gathering operation. But the argument that you make against argument one, I think you could also make against argument three. So, but yeah, you're right that the left only cares about it now because the possibility that Trump might be part of it. So I'm not convinced that any of these leftists, when they're talking about it, actually believe that there's anything there. I think they're just doing it because they know that it drives a wedge in Trump supporters. But I don't particularly care about the Epstein case so much. What I care is that people are spending so much time talking about it that there's like not anything else. So it's like, I'll go to there's a subreddit called Wall Street Bets Elite, which is basically like people that were banned from the main Wall Street Bets or from Superstonk, because Superstonk kind of tends to be like right-wing crazies investors. And so Wall Street Bets Elite has kind of turned into the left-wing trading sub. And anytime that there's any major headline posted in that subreddit, you don't see anybody say, well, this could affect this, or it could affect this, or here's some additional piece of information that might add more color to this story. Nothing like that. It's just raging about Donald Trump. It's so tiring, and it's just so dumb. Some of the comments that I see are like really quite dumb, even. Trump does something, you know, like he announces a trade deal with Japan. And that, you know, what I want to see is analysis of how good of a deal actually is it? What are the possible second and third order effects from this particular deal? Nothing. Just whining about Donald Trump, the way that he said it, etc., etc. I just hate it. And I hate it because it does affect our trading. Like, that is a part of how we get our information so that we can have an edge. And now, because the information is not really being shared on the internet as much anymore, and then on top of that, Twitter has kind of gone to shit too. It harms our edge. I hate it. And maybe is also part of why I haven't traded so much the past year, to be honest with you. It won't be like that forever. It'll change, but something that's going on right now that's a little frustrating. Either way, you know, on this second leg here, this range here has been a lot more disorganized. So that's kind of a little weird. I don't know if LaGuard is still speaking, though. She might still be speaking, and I didn't watch the end of that clip to see that's It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia clip at the end. I've never seen that either. That was pretty funny. Was only there for the snorkeling. What are your favorite pairs? Are you talking about currencies? I guess the Japanese yen dollar, but if you force me to trade currencies, that's probably what I would trade. Dude, I saw there was this video yesterday I came across, and it was I teach a popular girl about Vim. Teaching a popular girl about Vim, that's what the video was called. And he goes through this whole thing and shows her how to use Vim. And he shows a couple of good tricks. It's somewhat entertaining. If you know Vim, it's somewhat entertaining. And then at the very end, she's like, "So how do you exit it?" And he's like, I actually don't know." And I should have seen that ending coming, but I didn't. So I commented that on the video, and it's getting tons of likes. Oh, wow. So YouTube has been recommending this video to me about Lex Friedman, calling him a fraud. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I wasn't interested in it, but it's gotten 937,000 views now. That's crazy. I didn't understand Octavius's comment there. I'm like, why is he talking about breast sizes? But now I'm reading it in the context of what are your favorite pairs, and now it makes sense. What took me way too long. That was an ADHD moment there, right? You read a comment, you don't look at the context around it, and it takes you forever to get the joke. Oh my, Jeff Nippert just ruined his credibility. Okay. You know what? I want to go and watch that video now because from my perspective, Jeff Nippert's credibility doesn't matter because he tells you empirical information backed by studies. It doesn't matter what you think about Jeff Nippert himself. Just giving you research. Anyways. That Asmund Gold clip that you showed me has almost 400,000 views. That's crazy, dude. What the heck? Attractive long-term mates are linked to lower creativity in women? That's weird. So it's like, well, you've already got a very attractive mate, you don't need to be creative? Is that why a lot of us men feel like that women aren't very creative? It's because we're suppressing the women in our life's creativity? Oh boy. Wow, IRS has lost 25% of its IT workforce since Trump took office? That's not helpful. Not helpful. What? This did not happen. Okay, this guy says a 10-year-old kid knocked on my door and offered to mow my lawn for $20. I love encouraging young entrepreneurs, so I hired him to mow all 10 houses on my block and paid him $200. Then I charged each neighbor $125 for a premium lawn care service and made $1,000.50 profit by arbitraging labor. Welcome to capitalism. Get that. Things that didn't happen for 500, Dave. Attractive women get more free drinks. They don't necessarily have to work as hard. Yeah, maybe. Any way to view the DOM/ladders like you have set up with a mobile device? Oh man, I don't think so, to be honest with you, Matt. So the platforms that I've seen, you can view an individual DOM, but one where you can see like all of them across each other, I don't think so. I don't know how you would fit that much data on the screen anyways. I mean, I think the reality is that if you're going to trade like this, you really want to be sitting down at a PC anyways. Like, reading the DOM and reading the DOM and keeping track of the news and all of these things, like you can kind of see when I'm more serious. Like, it's a day where I really think that I'm going to take a trade, where I will kind of, strap in. Like, I'm way more serious and focused. It requires a lot of focus, and I just don't see how anybody could be so focused sitting and doing it on a mobile phone. So you want like a really weird prediction here? Weird predictions that people will probably all think Seth is wrong, but I really think this is going to happen. I think that when when Gen Z or whatever is the group of kids that are just coming out of school right now, when they get to their 30s or so, they are going to experience phone backlash. They're going to be like, my thumb, I'm already got arthritis in my thumb and my hand hurts and my neck hurts from looking down at the phone all day. And they're going to go, oh, if I want to just sit and scroll all day, I should do it on a platform that is more comfortable and ergonomical, and they'll buy PCs. That's what I think is going to happen. Eventually, they're gonna be like, I'm so perpetually online, I should do it from a computer. If I'm gonna write something, gonna write a comment on Reddit, I should do it from a computer rather than from my phone. That's what's going to happen. Because phone's not very ergonomic. You're looking down. You're doing all the typing with just your thumbs. Kills. Hey, you know what? I canceled my order, but let's keep it where it was. But there was some significant buying there. You know what? Actually, yeah, it makes you a hunchback. It does. And I even have some of it. I'm not so bad because I do Olympic weightlifting and I spend more of the time at the computer, but it's definitely negatively affected me. I've frequently been like, okay, like maybe let's get a device that helps me scroll on a phone better or something like that. I'm trying to learn how to do remote computer viewing. You have to enable RDP on your machine and then, or you use one of the similar protocols. There's a couple of different ways to do it. Wait, what? I got my wife a phone holder arm you can set on the floor. So wait, it's like a thing with like a base and it comes up and then an arm and it just holds the phone? I basically just chills in the recliner with a remote in her hand and reads the phone. That's Matt, thanks for the response. I'll take a look at remote viewing. No, don't call it remote viewing. That's a whole different rabbit hole that I don't want to go into because I think it's bullshit, but oh, am I gonna get I got triggered. Is it gonna get filled? So, check your DMs. Do you have a picture of it? Oh, what? Hey, I need that. I'm liking what I see there, man. Because it's got like the spring arms and everything. You would have to be, you know, it would have to be in a chair like that, though, for sure. Okay, so if this comes back up, where am I interested in it coming to? 25-ish? I'm a little weirded out by that 24.5 being low liquidity. Kind of makes me think that maybe they would have a hard time getting through 23.5 and 24. That's so cheating. That's what I'm talking about. I thought hard about those types of holders, but I wanted more like a little button clicker. Well, you know what I think I would do with it? So I think I would put it next to my bed. Then you can just lay there. Because one of the things that'll happen to me on the weekend is like I'll start doom scrolling on Friday night, right? And you're doom scrolling late into the night. And the whole time you're doing it like this. So you're holding your arms up like this. And then the next day, like your shoulders and your back hurt. So I was just thinking about this. I'm obviously, we don't know how this trade is going to work out. But the earlier trade that the robot took, I guess we would have wished that it had done it earlier, right? In fact, it's kind of interesting that it didn't get triggered on this big down bar, but that's okay. Still, it was a good trade. It was a really good trade, and I'm even happy with where it ended up getting out at, because it got the opposite signal at that point, right? And then over here, it got in at essentially 02. And where was it? Oh, actually, okay, so here it was a sell, then it flipped. So we'll see where it ends up getting out. It may just end up staying for the whole hour. That would be at 8:12. But that's like one of the best that I've seen the algorithm do with that. It's called a page turner, Amazon mobile page turner.
Block buy.
Block buy. I'm kind of wondering now. So that iceberg right there at 24.5, I think that might be there because the cost basis is there. But this is actually thinning out because we're about to get news. US S&P Services PMI Flash. They are looking for a reading of 53. Manufacturing PMI Flash are looking for a reading of 52.7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my take profit up here at 29. And I'm not going to put a stop because I'm stupid. No, I'll put a stop like way, way down here. Now everybody on this stream is going to get a page turner. You should have gotten a, oh man, that came back down. I don't like that. Okay, so the services was higher than expected, 55.2, and the manufacturing was lower than expected, 49.5. So I was kind of hoping that maybe we'd get a pop off of that, but it doesn't look like we will. I don't know if we're going to get more selling than that, though. Oh yeah, take the picture down. That was a good point. Yeah, you should have gotten an Amazon affiliate link there. We could link everybody to it. You could make money from it. Can I ask what you are looking for on the DOM? Okay, well, so in this situation right now, one of the things that I'm paying attention to that's a little bit unique about this situation was we just had news, and so I'm kind of noticing how long does it take for the liquidity to recover? And does the liquidity look different than it did before the news? I find it kind of curious that there's this little dip right here. Like, what's with that? And then the other thing that I'm looking for is as it ticks up and down, how long does it take for the orders to stack? So right now it's really active on the inside. I'm actually kind of liking that. It makes me think that perhaps the large meta order that we saw from before the news could be something that could continue after the news. There could be, there probably it was some short covering down here, like the guys that got short from here to here. I think that they were forced to cover because the cumulative delta is actually slightly higher. So we do kind of have a formation that is kind of a little bit indicative of trapped traders. Though I really, really, really want to get them above 25. But what it's saying is that can you see my line? And remember I was saying there was iceberging one tick below it. So I'm hoping that they come up to here. But because if they cross this line, maybe you could get some further short covering. But right now you can see that market maker cost basis definitely has acted as at least temporary resistance. So anyways, but back to the DOM here. Okay, so now here at 24.5, I can see it going back and forth a little bit on not so much. I want to see that get above 2,000. Okay, good. So next one, 1,500 almost immediately. That's good. So again, let's see if they get over 2,000. Okay, if they get over 2,000, it was only brief, but they did pull over here. So the offers still look a little skittish to me. Like the offers are concerned that there's some momentum here and they're pulling. Okay, 718 down. So you get a little back and forth. But that inside bid is still pretty healthy, right? Like if it was going back and forth and it was only like 500, that's the kind of thing that has me like, okay, like we're going to get stuck here. Okay. But switching between 1,500 and 2,000, that's pretty healthy. So there's still a good amount of activity here. Okay, that one on the uptick, it was only 1,500. So that's about standard. So I think that's still, you know, I think that means that our bullish kind of setup can continue. Okay, well, they took the 25 half, but they weren't able to stack a good bid behind it immediately. So that is kind of against us a little bit. I looked away for a second. It looks like that they tried taking it at 25 half, but they're still stacking it. Yeah. Back. And the offers aren't adding too much either. So the bid still looks pretty healthy, although it's not quite as strong as it was a minute or two ago. So I'm just kind of watching that. And I'm also watching the market orders and seeing how much imbalance we're seeing in the market orders to kind of tell me, you know, maybe it's done and I need to get out. Now, another thing I have to factor in here, though, is that I only have 10 minutes. So it's kind of telling me that at least in the short term that I might want to take it off here. Okay, so that's not good. I think I'm okay, but I really didn't like that they were able to take it down at 24 half without very much. So the liquidity below us is a little bit sketchy. Okay, so I'll take that off primarily because I can't wait around. Now my robot is still long. So we're going to let the robot sit there. I would actually maybe, it's looking for 27 half, but I kind of think there's a good chance to get 29. Just because that's where like the buy side cost basis is. And we have crossed the line, so I don't know. Thinking back on that trade, well, I liked where I got in on it. I liked the way that it went. I liked the way that I managed the trade overall. I think that the exit was kind of like maybe a B+, because I would prefer to hold it for longer, and we might even before we go here see it go up a little bit further. But it was also holding through news, so that kind of, that's not something I would want to do on a live account necessarily. And the news went against us too, which is, if that if that manufacturing PMI ended up being like 53 or something, then I think that trade would have been really bad, right? So. Okay, so I just want to note the bid now is not bad, but it's not nearly as strong as it was before, right? Now they're kind of pushing more like 1,300 instead of 1,600. Overall, though, that whole sequence was a pretty good example of what you will tend to see on the DOM when you're having a strong trend. So. I don't know if that helped Milan, but do you kind of see how you can use the order flow to kind of get a better read on how strong the market is at that moment to possibly give yourself a better exit? Like from here, we're kind of arguing about ticks. But there has been a little bit of mean reversion in here, and you could kind of see in the DOM almost right when it started to happen, that kind of behavior coming in where it wasn't just stacking on the bid and immediately ticking up anymore. Although I would say it's still bullish because the decline that we did have was mostly pulling. So. But I got out at 25.5, right? When he does this. Oh, I got out at 25. So there's one tick. But you see here, this is when I want to shut the stream down, unfortunately. Because I kind of think it's going to go a little bit further. I don't know. You guys watch it for me. Tell me if it hits 29. That'll be like, dang it. We're totally right. Interesting day. I wouldn't say that there was like anything super significant happened or anything, but we got pretty good action here. Who am I kidding? The ECB is a significant thing. We should expect to see a decent amount of volatility off of the ECB, right? Excuse me. Anyways, it is time for me to get going. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow in the meantime. And because there has been a lot of new people come in, make sure you go to the main channel page and watch my order flow video series, because that is, I think, the best source of information on the subject. Okay? See you guys tomorrow. Stay excellent, team.